sorry, that was like so lame from all of you. I know you were exercising at 8 o'clock this morning. How are you? All right, that's more like it. That's more like it. Listen, I am super excited to be here with you because I've got something to share with you that, number one, I was backstage. I heard that it's all about acquisition. I heard you got an 80-day challenge coming up. I know that you're focused on growth, and I also know that some of you, like Barbie, have been looking at your business going down, even though you guys are like the top. Everything I'm about to share with you is going to help you change that. Everything. Now, I got a warning. Do not dismiss what I'm about to share with you because it is simple and it is stupid. I'm going to teach you something called the 5-second rule. Not the one that we grew up with, where you drop food on the floor, you can pick it up and blow the dog hair off and eat it. No, this was something that I invented at a time in my life when things were really not going well. And I can tell you that the 5-second rule is a tool that you're going to use to push yourself to not only grow your business, but actually I'm going to teach you a way more powerful way to use it. The number one thing that is going to make the difference in your business in the next couple days, in the next year, in the next decade, is whether or not your thoughts are in the way. I do believe that it comes down not to what you know, but to what you do. But the single biggest obstacle each and every one of you face right now are the thinking patterns that are up here. And I'm going to teach you not only the super cool rule and all the science behind it, and I'm going to tell you the story about how I discovered it, but I'm going to show you systematically how you can use it so that you can beat self-doubt, so that you can beat procrastination, and also so that you can teach this to all the other coaches in your organization. Sound good?
Yes.
All right. Because the truth is, in 5 seconds, you guys, you can change anything. I'm going to show you that you can change in 5 seconds what you're thinking about, and you can change what action you take. In fact, what you're about to learn is that your entire life happens 5 seconds at a time. That when you shrink down growing your business or changing your social media strategy to 5-second decisions, it suddenly feels less overwhelming. And I want you to think about that for a second. I mean, in 5 seconds flat, you can either step forward with confidence or you shrink in self-doubt, right? In 5 seconds flat, you can approach somebody and talk to them about your business, or you can talk yourself out of doing it. Everything is going to come down to these micro decisions. And it's also going to come down to this. You know, when you hear the word courage, you tend to think about the big stuff, don't you? You think about your heroes. You think about life or death situations. I want you to consider something. I want you to consider that courage is actually something small as well. Courage is the ability to do things that are difficult or scary or uncertain. And maybe putting yourself out there slightly differently on social media is a little scary. Maybe that requires courage. Maybe there's some conversations you need to have with some of the coaches in your organization that require courage. I bet there are conversations that you need to have in your life that require courage. In order to teach you the 5-second rule, which is ultimately a tool that gives you instant courage, I got to take you back almost 10 years. Because 10 years ago, I basically needed courage just to get out of bed. So I'm not going to belabor the story, but I found myself at the age of 41 in a situation I never thought I would be in. You know, I was hearing some of the stories that were being read. The first one was about Rachel, who was digging through the couch looking for quarters. Boy, I could relate to that. Because what had happened in my life is that my husband had gone into the restaurant business. And when times were good, we put everything that we had, the home equity line, the kids' college savings, the 401k, right into the business. And then suddenly, things got really bad. This would have been 2008. Anybody else have a lousy year in 2008? Yeah, I see a lot of hands going up. Well, we did too. So we had a situation where I lost my job. My husband's restaurant business was going under. It was taking the house and our marriage with it. And I developed this habit. It's a really dumb habit. I developed a habit of hitting the snooze alarm. You see, the alarm would go off and I would feel like doing this to it. Anybody have a morning like that ever? Right? You toss and turn a little bit and then you wake up. And it's interesting. When the alarm goes off and you wake up, Within 5 seconds, have you ever noticed how like self-doubt can creep in? Overwhelm can creep in? You can start thinking about all your problems, and next thing you know, you're hitting the snooze alarm because you don't want to face the stuff going on. Well, you know, at the end of the day, hitting the snooze button, it's not the worst habit to have, but I want you to consider something. Every habit that you have that goes unchecked can spiral out of control into something that you never intended. And what happened for me, and this is what we're going to talk about, is that change was hitting us. And it's not the world's worst problem. I mean, look, there are people in the world that are facing life-threatening illnesses. They've lost people that they love. Heck, maybe a hurricane just blew out everything that they own. So it wasn't like I was facing the world's worst problem and we were facing bankruptcy and facing divorce. It's not like that's the worst. But have you ever noticed that when things are happening to you, whether your business is a little soft, or maybe you're fighting with your spouse, or maybe you don't feel very good about yourself, the problems are personal. And that's why they're so hard. It's hard to actually push yourself to do something different. Now, I don't think any of us ever wake up in the morning and do this. You know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to screw up my life. I'm going to hit the snooze alarm 4 times, and I'm going to make myself late, and I'm going to make the kids late, and I'm going to go into the kitchen, and I'm going to drink a big, dark, black cup of coffee with like 15 sugars in it, and that's going to give me a stomachache, and then I'm going to get in the car, and I'm going to drive to work, and I'm going to have road rage, and I'm going to flip people off, and then I'm going to walk into work, and then I'm going to start to like snap at people, and then those 15 phone calls I need to make for my business, I'm going to blow them off, and I'm going to do a bunch of shopping for money that I don't have, and then I'm going to go off to the gym on the way home, and we'll walk in the front door, I'm going to snap at my spouse, and then I'm going to drink a ton. It's going to be amazing. Best day ever, right? Like, that's not what we do. You know what happens to you is when you're not paying attention, and I'm going to wake you up. When you're not paying attention, you start to make decisions that are based in self-doubt, procrastination, anxiety, frustration. And all of a sudden you wake up one morning and you're like I was. You're like, wait a minute, holy cow, how did we get here? Bankrupt? Chris is sleeping on the couch. I hate myself. I hate my life. And more importantly, how do I get over there? Now, this is one mistake that we all make. You may look at all the super producers that come up on stage and talk about everything that they're doing, and it feels so big, doesn't it? It feels like you got to do something drastic to change things, to be better. I'm here to tell you something. You don't. Your business will grow, your life will change, your dreams will come true when you focus on the smallest things. You see, you know what to do, don't you? If I were to come out there and talk to each and every one of you about what do you need to do to grow your business, you would know. Knowing isn't what's going to change everything. It's actually knowing how to make yourself do it. And the biggest obstacle that you're going to face, and I'm going to prove it to you, is the way that you think. You see, I knew that hitting the snooze button every single morning, not a good idea. I knew that drinking like crazy, not a good idea. I knew that being a total jerk to my husband was not a good idea, but I was doing it anyway, and boy, did it feel good at the time, you know? Because it's a lot easier to do one of these, right? You know, when something changes about your life, it's easy to go, hey, it's your fault. It isn't fair that you changed the comp plan. It isn't fair that this is happening. Now, one of the things I want you to realize, if you ever catch yourself blaming, complaining, griping, pointing the finger, there's always 3 fingers pointing right back at you. And I want you to understand something. There is power inside of you. You have the power at any moment, no matter what, to change everything. And it's going to come down to this. Do you know how to rule your mind? Because if you don't know how to rule your mind and your thoughts, it's gonna rule you. Now, when I think back to this moment in time where every morning the alarm would go off, I would feel this self-doubt, I would feel the sense of overwhelm, I knew I needed to get up, and I go, boom, I'm going back to bed. Boom, I'm going back to bed. When I think about this moment in time, you guys, 10 years ago, and I think about it, I didn't discover everything I'm about to show you. I know exactly where my life would have been. I would have been divorced. I'd definitely be bankrupt. I'd be a very bitter person. I have no idea what I'd be doing for a living. But luckily, everything changed. Now, it's a really stupid story, what happened, but it's actually the truth, so I'm going to tell it to you. One night, I was at home and frustrated and full of doubt, and all of a sudden I was watching TV and I see this rocket ship launch at the end of a commercial, and I have this epiphany. I go, oh my gosh, that's the answer. That's it. That's the answer to the snooze alarm. That's the answer to everything. Tomorrow morning, when that alarm goes off, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to launch myself out of bed like a rocket ship, because if self-doubt can stop me in 5 seconds flat, if I move fast enough, maybe I can beat it. I know, it's really dumb. It might have been the 4 Manhattans that were talking that actually gave me that idea. Because, you know, it's a lot easier to grab the booze, isn't it? Well, let me tell you what happened. The very next morning, the alarm goes off. The self-doubt starts rolling in. The dread, the anxiety. But I did something I had never done before. I started counting backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll never forget it. It was a Tuesday in February. And suddenly, I'm standing up in my bedroom. I literally was like, wait a minute. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 was all I needed. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. And I went on with my day. The next morning, the alarm went off. Self-doubt, overwhelm, dread comes rolling in. I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I'm up. I started to actually think, am I like a witch or something? Like, is this some spell that, you know? And the next morning, the alarm goes off. Self-doubt, overwhelmed, dread. I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I stand up. And I had this epiphany, and this is something I want you to take away. All day long, you're faced with decisions. All day long. And in 5 seconds flat, you can 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 choose to be more powerful than your excuses, or you can step back. I made myself a simple promise that morning, that third morning. I said, all right, Mel, let's see if this stupid thing works. I started calling it the 5-second rule. You gotta move within 5 seconds. Let's see if this dumb thing works. If you're in a situation, Mel, where you know what to do, but you don't feel like it, or you start to get scared, I want you to use this dumb thing and let's see what happens. So the alarm goes off, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I get up, I go into the kitchen, I see Chris, I want to kill him, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You giggle, right? But it's true. You see somebody, you're frustrated, and it rises up and he doesn't. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Suddenly, like, I got control of my emotions, and I'm able to talk to the guy from my values, not from my anger. I see my sneakers. I know I need to go for a run, but I don't feel like it because it's raining. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and there I am out the door. I see the phone. Who actually enjoys calling anybody for networking? Who? Anybody in here? No, not a single hand. That's right, because it blows, doesn't it? But I knew that I needed to look for a job, but I didn't feel like making a call. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm making a call. I got to tell you something. Slowly but surely, everything started to change. Because I had discovered a tool that was helping me change my decisions 5 seconds at a time. Chris started using it. He took it into the restaurant business. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and they start talking with investors and raising some more money. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and they're walking in and having the hard conversations with their landlords about restructuring leases. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and they're restructuring the business. And slowly but surely, you guys, everything started to change. Now look, I never intended to tell anybody about this. Not a soul. Because first of all, this sounds so stupid. You want to grow your business, guys? Just count to 5. All right, I'm gone. See you later. Secondly, I actually had no idea why it worked. I mean, why would something so dumb work? All the science I'm about to show you, I didn't know any of this stuff. And then there was another reason. You see, this was classified. This was my thing. And suddenly, I had gone from facing bankruptcy to making more money than I ever thought possible. I had gone from facing divorce to literally changing the way that I behaved in my marriage. I didn't want you to have this. I mean, this was like my thing. So what ended up happening is about 6 years ago, as I'm changing everything and my career is going forward, we're making a lot of money and things are great between Chris and I, and I've got control of my drinking. Somebody asked me to give one of those TEDx talks. Now, this is the first time I'd ever given a speech in my entire life. About minute 1 right here, you can see the neck rash coming on, right? If you want to know what it looks like to have a 21-minute-long panic attack, this is an excellent representation. Yes. So I give this talk, and I think because I'm in such an acute state of anxiety, I literally forget where I am. And at about minute 19, I go off script and I say, oh, by the way, there's this thing I do. I call it the 5-second rule. I don't really explain it because I didn't know why it worked. I walk off that stage. I say to myself, you're never going to do that again. That was horrible. And then something crazy happened. Somebody put that talk online. It's now been viewed more than 12 million times. But something even crazier started to happen to me. People from around the world started to write. And do you know what they wrote about? That stupid 5-second rule. Hey Mel, I heard about the 5-second rule, and I'm on pace to double my business, and I'm present with my kids. Holy cow, I heard about the 5-second rule, and I've got the courage to reach out to people that I admire. Oh my gosh, I brought the 5-second rule back to my team at USAA, and we're now #1 in the region for sales. Why? Why does something so stupid help with sales? Simple. Thinking about selling isn't actually selling. In order to sell, you got to get out upstairs and you got to actually take some action. That's what the tool is doing. It helps you move from thinking about what you need to do to actually doing it. You can teach this for sure to your downline. No questions asked. In fact, everything I'm about to show you, it is so simple you can even teach it to your kids, but I'm going to warn you, they will use it on you. Mom, Dad, tone, 5-second rule. Watch it. You're going to get addicted to it. You're going to get addicted to it because number 1, it's stupid. Number 2, you won't forget it. And number 3, it always works. And the reason why it always works is because it is a tool that you use to coach yourself. It is a tool that you use to pull the power inside of you to the surface right now. It is a tool that you use to prove to yourself that you believe in yourself because you stop thinking and you take action. And one of the things that I'm really proud of is that it's being used in CBT therapy all over the world to help people end addiction. And as of last week, we know of 23 people who have not committed suicide because of this stupid thing. This guy here, Steve boarded a ferry overseas, and he's a veteran, and he suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder. And he wrote to us and explained that he got up to the railing, and here's something I want you to understand. I don't care how amazing your life is or how low things get. Your inner wisdom is always with you. And the secret to having all of the joy and opportunity that your life has to offer is having the clarity and the courage to hear it. So Steve is standing at the railing and he's about to jump and his wisdom kicks in and says, hey, Steve, this is not the answer. He's got a tool, just like you're going to have a tool. He goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And what I'm about to teach you, which is pretty amazing, is when you count backwards, it's a form of metacognition. That's a fancy word that means brain hack. I'm going to teach you how to cut off all the negative patterns that are encoded right here in your brain and activate your prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain that you need in order to change, in order to act with courage. So he 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, turns away from the railing. He sees somebody in a uniform, goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to give himself the courage to be honest about what's actually happening. He tells the guy what's going on. They have help for him. Ambulance is waiting when he gets there, and now he's doing a heck of a lot better. Now, if you wanted the license plate, it's gone in Arizona. And I need to make a public service announcement, and that is this. The 5-second rule is for situational decisions when you're about to shrink and you need to give yourself a push. It is not for signing a contract. It is not for getting married. It is not for placing a bet while you were here in Vegas. And it sure as hell is not for getting a tattoo, okay? So if you are getting a tattoo, that is on you. It is not my responsibility. So I want you to think for a minute. What do you need to change about your business? What do you need to change about yourself in order to be a better leader in your organization, in the business that you're building? Every one of us knows the answer to this, right? You do. You know that you need to do more on social media or maybe do something a little bit different on social media. You know that you need to dig back in. You know that it's about acquisition. You know that there are things that made you great at being an individual producer and coach that actually aren't translating to being all that great as a leader. So this is an easy question to answer. What I'm going to give you the real answer to is a much harder question. And that's this one. Because you can learn all that you want here, and you will. You're going to learn everything that you need to grow your business. And you can walk out of here a lot smarter than you were about your business than when you came in. And when you leave here, there's no doubt that you're going to have a million things that you're going to want to focus on, right? But the question is, when you go back into your life, which I'm sure is very busy, and you go back into your downline, will you be able to change? That is what I'm going to show you how to do next.
Let's suppose that you were able every night to dream any dream you wanted to dream. Finally, you would dream, and wake on up. You would dream the dream of living the life that you are actually living today.
There is only one sensible thing to do with this empty existence, and that is fill it.
Live long and prosper.
Makes your life work out so.
The most important word in that sentence is will. Not will you or won't you change, but do you have the will to push yourself to change? Because the one thing that you know is that your business is changing, the world is changing, technology is changing, and as a fellow entrepreneur, I can tell you, one of the number one things that you need to develop is the ability to monitor yourself, to direct your thoughts, and to be so aware that you can pivot the moment that you realize that you need to. And that's why you're going to love the 5-second rule, because at the end of the day, it's an incredible self-coaching tool that will allow you to push yourself. So here it is. The moment that you begin to hesitate, you're going to count. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, a couple things. Do not count out loud, because you're going to scare people and look like a real nutcase, okay? So I don't want you sitting there seeing somebody, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then going up to them, okay? No, you got to do it to yourself. Second thing, you've got to count backwards. This will not work if you count up. Now, a lot of you are obviously, this is literally like the best looking and most in shape crowd I have ever seen in my entire life. And so a lot of you realize that when you're coaching people at the gym, you don't count up, do you? And the reason why you don't count up is because you can keep thinking about whether or not you're ready for number 8. When you count backwards, something really interesting happens. When you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you have to use this part of your brain. Counting backwards is not a habit. Counting up is. So when you're counting up and you're thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, boy, I hate this. I think I'm going to stop at 7. It's because it's encoded right here. It doesn't require any focus at all. So what's interesting is when you're in a situation where you got to choose between, am I going to talk to this person or am I going to find another time? The moment you start counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you've actually already chosen what you're going to do. You've chosen to push yourself outside of your head and to go up and to talk to the person. This is why this is critical for you to teach to your downlines, because you can tell people all day long what they need to do. What's missing for most of us is a tool that will help people take action. I want to show you what's actually happening in your brain, but first I want to explain something about our brains when it comes to change. So there are 2 modes in your brain when it comes to doing anything. Mode number 1 is autopilot. And I think we've all had an experience with this before. Have you ever driven to work or driven home and you get there and you go, oh my gosh, who drove the car? Well, you did. It's just that you drive the same way and the same route so many times that the pattern gets encoded right here. It becomes a habit. Now, if there's a detour or a deer jumps out, what happens is your brain switches from this part and gives control over your thinking and your behavior to your prefrontal cortex. Now, the prefrontal cortex is what is active, and it's what you need when you're selling. It's active, and it's what you need when you're acting with courage. It's active, and it's what you need when you're teaching somebody in your downline how to do something new. The first time you launch an 80-day challenge, it's going to be new. You're going to need to teach people how to switch gears and actually go into that mode. Now, there's another reason selfishly why I want to teach you the difference between autopilot, which is patterns that get encoded here, and drive, which is when you have self-control, is because how it relates to your mental game. So when you're on autopilot, these are the things that your mind does. I think you know that procrastinating and worrying and doubting yourself and overthinking and saying nothing and allowing yourself to feel insecure, it doesn't help your business grow, does it? Not at all. Here's something that actually started to change my life in a very profound way. There's a different word for these behaviors that psychologists and neuroscientists use. And that word is this: habits. I want you to consider that you're actually not a procrastinator, that you have a habit of procrastinating. That's a big difference. Because if it's a habit, I can teach you how to break it using science. Consider that you're not a worrier. You have a habit of worrying about things, which is a big difference. Because that means that it's something that you can break, and you should, because worrying about your business won't grow it. What will grow it is pushing yourself into action, and that's where the 5-second rule comes in. So the red part of the brain, that's the basal ganglia. That's where all the self-doubt, anxiety, every habit that you have gets encoded and gets automated. What I want to do is I want to teach you to activate the green part of your brain. So what we're going to do is we're going to count together, and I'm going to show you what happens in a functional MRI when you use a 5-second rule. You ready? Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're activating the part of the brain that makes changing easy. Now, for those of you that actually felt kind of funky, we hear all the time that people are like, okay, this is some weird stuff, Mel. Because I started counting and I actually felt like a little pressure right here, like what the heck is going on here? That is not abnormal to feel that way. No, I did not put you under a spell. You have not been hypnotized. You're just switching gears so that you're turning on the part of the brain that's going to help you. So let's talk about some specific applications for how you can use this. And I'm going to focus on mindset. Over the years, we've heard from more than 250,000 people in 90 countries who have written to us about what they've used the 5-second rule for. And some of them are pretty obvious. A lot of people start by using it to push themselves to get up on time, or 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get to the gym. But the stuff that's really going to make a difference for you and your business is how you use this to rule your mind. Self-doubt does not serve you, and self-doubt is a habit. So the moment that you catch yourself doubting yourself, I want you to count backwards to yourself, not out loud, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then move forward. That's it. That's all you're going to do. And something as stupid as that, the ability to catch yourself when you've started to doubt yourself, will make an enormous difference. I mean, look at the date on this. This was just from a couple days ago. He had an important email to send, but he was afraid. I guarantee you have emails that you need to send. I guarantee you your downline has emails that you need to send. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 interrupts the self-doubt that stops you and pushes you to do it. You're going to find that it's easier to make decisions. That, if you find that you're the kind of person that you keep answering and doing personal stuff instead of focusing on the business stuff, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 interrupts that habit. You're also going to find that, again, this is absolutely incredible for sales. Because the more that you think about selling, the less likely you're going to do it. If you've got a list of calls that you need to make, or people that you need to direct message, or folks to follow up on, or maybe it's as simple as you're changing your strategy and you're going to do what Kaylee said, which is every single post I put an invitation out there. If you start to think about whether or not you should do it, you're not going to do it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 cuts off the habit of overthinking, and it will push you to take action. And that will change everything when it comes to growing your business. Now let's talk a little bit about nerves. Because in order to expand your life and your business, you're going to have to push yourself outside your comfort zone. Feeling nervous is normal. Letting it stop you is a choice. Let me say that again. Feeling nervous is normal. Letting it stop you is a choice. I want to teach you a super cool trick using the 5-second rule and a really cool study that just came out at the Harvard Medical School just 6 months ago that will help you trick your brain and turn any kind of nerves that you have into a tool for you. So first let me explain something. And by the way, if you have kids, this is something that you should teach to them because it's a really stupid, simple trick and it works like magic. So first things first, let me explain something. In your body physiologically, when you're nervous, it's the exact same thing as being excited. I'm going to give you an example, okay? So the last time that I remember being very nervous, I was standing at our 12-year-old's school, and we had a meeting because he's dyslexic. And we had to have one of those meetings, what are they? It's like an IEP meeting where you're talking about whether or not they're going to get services, and I was nervous. I had a pit in my stomach, my heart was racing, my throat was tight, my armpits were sweating, and my brain was totally agitated. I was sitting there saying all kinds of like agitated thoughts. I hate the person that's going to be in there. What if they don't give it to him? Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? So my body's agitated, so are my thoughts. That's what it's like when you're nervous. And whenever you or somebody in your downline tries something for the first time, they're going to feel that way. Now let me show you the difference between nerves and excitement. So the last time I was like super excited, it was this summer. The U2 Joshua Tree Tour. Anybody go see that this summer? Yes, incredible, right? Absolutely incredible. I think I'm a lot older than some of the hands that went up, but let me tell you something. Standing there at Gillette Stadium outside of Boston, Massachusetts, when that first song came on, they played the entire Joshua Tree album, start to finish. They rolled the video from 1984 when I was in high school. I literally almost had a heart attack. I was so excited. My stomach was tight, my heart was racing, my throat was tight, my armpits were like Niagara Falls, but my thoughts were like, yes, they're coming, this is so exciting, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Now, the only difference between standing at the U2 concert, where my body's agitated, and standing in the hallway at the school where my body's agitated before the meeting. The only difference between the nervous situation and the excited situation was what my brain was doing. We can use science to trick your brain in that situation. It's so stupid, it is so cool, it's so simple. Wait to hear this. Really dumb. You ready? So the second that you feel yourself getting nervous, you're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because I want you to switch gears in your head. And then you're simply going to say this. I'm so excited to have this conversation. I'm so excited to give this presentation. I'm so excited to fire this person from my team. I'm so excited. Whatever it may be. Now here's the thing that's cool. They studied this at Harvard Medical School. And they taught this to kids before standardized tests. Guess what? Every last one of them did better when they taught them to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm excited. They did it at track meets, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm excited. They did it at singing competitions, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm excited. Now why would something so stupid work? Here's why. When you give your brain context for why your body's agitated, you stabilize what's happening in your body and no cortisol goes into your brain, so you keep the functioning of your prefrontal cortex. I kid you not, if you have somebody that is on your team that is terrified to sell, that's terrified to put themselves out there, this is the strategy to use, 100%. And what we see every time is that when we show people this, I mean, look at Chris's email, or tweet rather. I used the 5-second rule before a presentation and used the nervous energy to be excited. It worked. I mean, you can even hear the surprise in that tweet, can't you? He's like shocked that something so stupid would actually work in a situation like this. Now, when you start to use the 5-second rule, you're going to find yourself 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. And then all of a sudden you're going to feel nervous and be very angry at me. And that's when you use the I'm excited strategy to take control of your thinking. So again, make sure you teach this to your teams. It is so dumb, and I can tell you it 100% works. It will make you incredible at selling, at public speaking, at presenting, at pushing yourself out there. Now the final thing I want to teach you is how to use this to end worry, fear, and anxiety. So whether you're somebody that deals with anxiety, or you have team members that do, or people that you love, this is really life-changing information. So a lot of people look at me and they say, oh, she was just born confident and annoying. Annoying, yes, for sure. Confident, not so much. So I think if it's possible to be born anxious, that was me as a baby. My parents said I was always a worrier. I mean, I drank milk of Milanta like it was, a Diet Coke, for crying out loud. By the time I was 19, though, it turned into full-blown anxiety. And by the time I was 21, I started having panic attacks all the time. Now, luckily, I went to see a psychiatrist, and this psychiatrist diagnosed me with anxiety disorder. I started taking Zoloft, and it was a miracle drug for me. And in fact, I took it for 2 decades. And the only time I came off the drugs is when our first daughter, who's now 18 years old, was born. And I had such severe postpartum depression, the really scary kind where you can't be left alone with the baby or with yourself. And so when I talk to you guys about the ways in which you torture yourself mentally, I have lived that nightmare. Now, about 5 years ago, as people started writing about the 5-second rule, and they were writing about all these profound things that were happening when they started making 5-second decisions. Ending addiction, not committing suicide, changing their marriage, being sober, transforming their bodies. I started to wonder, gosh, I wonder if you could use this stupid thing to cure yourself of anxiety. And the answer is, yes, you can. So I've been off meds for 5 years. I haven't had a panic attack, a bout of anxiety. Hell, I don't even worry about anything. And I'm going to show you exactly how you can start to use the 5-second rule in order to break the habit of worrying. If you don't do anything else with this stupid thing, please do this. This will change your life. This will grow your business. This will transform your family. And I'm going to explain how to use it with a very kind of common example, a common fear that I think a lot of us can relate to, and that is the fear of flying. So I used to be a very nervous flyer. I would get to the airport, and I would get to the gate, and I would start looking around, and I'd want to see like 3 types of passengers. I want to see babies, I want to see people in wheelchairs, and I want to see some men and women in the service. Because if those people are getting on my plane, God is not letting this sucker go down. You know what I'm saying? And so I would then get in the plane, and I would click the buckle, and I would be fine. I would be okay. I would, maybe start sweating a little bit. And then we would take off, and I would start to worry. And then, about 2 minutes into the flight, where all of a sudden it sounds like they killed the engines. You're like, oh, yeah, it's like, and they like slow down. Well, at that point, I would have a full-blown panic attack. I mean, I would start, oh my God, I would actually say that out loud, and then I would pull out my phone, and I would start to text my children and my husband, going, Mommy loves you, heart emoji, heart emoji. Because I want these kids to know that if I'm about to die in a plane crash, that the last thing that I did as a human being was to be the best mother I possibly could. And that way they've got evidence of it to show everybody when they give a PowerPoint at the eulogy, you know what I mean? And you giggle because we're sick. We're sick human beings. If I were to put a speaker on your head and broadcast the garbage you say to yourself, you wouldn't be sitting here. You'd be in an insane asylum, for crying out loud. But here's the problem. You listen to it. You listen to it. You text somebody and you don't hear back and you think they hate me. You ask somebody about your business and you're like, oh my God, they think I'm a stalker. You haven't heard from somebody, in your family, oh, they must have died. You look at the Instagram post. Oh, can I put that up? I don't know. Is that a football? What's going on? Can I put that on the thing? Can I not put that on the thing? What are people going to think about me? What are they going to think about me? I don't know. What are they going to think about me? You're nuts. You're torturing yourself, and you don't have to. Here's what I want you to do. I literally want you to rule your mind. When your thoughts drift, and they do, don't they? You're present, and then all of a sudden, it drifts to something horrible, somebody dying, something bad happening. The moment you catch that, that's a huge moment of power. Huge. You're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Counting is super important. Why? You've already seen why. We're interrupting the habit of worry, and we're awakening this part of your brain. You're then going to insert what I call an anchor thought. Now, I understand that all of you were asked to write out a story or bring a photo of some transformation that really makes you inspired as it relates to your business. An incredible anchor thought for you is that photo or that story. The second you start worrying about your business, you're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then I want you to visualize that photo that you brought, or that story that you brought, that difference that you've made. And I want you to say to yourself, I'm so excited that I get to do this every day, that I get to change people's lives. And something interesting is going to happen. You're going to have literally interrupted the habit of worrying, and you're going to be one decision at a time retraining yourself to be the kind of person that doesn't worry, the kind of person that believes in yourself, the kind of person that really has the ability to shut off anxiety and worry and any of this crap that does not serve you. You know, when I get on the plane today and fly to Miami, we're going to hit turbulence, we always do, and my mind's going to go, uh-oh, and then I'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I'll immediately think about getting to Miami and ordering a burger at the bar there in the restaurant, and how delicious it's going to be. And I'll say to myself, I'm just so excited to get to Miami. That's my anchor thought. And what happens in my mind is my mind goes, oh, I just tricked it. She's not worried about dying in a plane crash. She's excited to eat the hamburger tonight. We can move on now. The same thing's going to happen to you. You're going to trick your mind. Your mind's not going to go, uh-oh, 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 uh-oh. It's going to go, oh, wait a minute. They're not worried about being judged. She's excited because she makes a difference. We can move on here. You know, and one of you will write to me, we always do this, that you're going to use this on the plane because you were nervous about flying, just like I used to be. And just like this woman wrote to us, every time I felt panic, I used the 5-second rule, and halfway through the flight, I was looking out the window and taking pictures. I can't believe how much I was missing by being afraid. If you need help with an anchor thought, your family is always incredible. Now, one thing that I want to give to you, because you guys are awesome and you're building a business, is I have a gift for you. We don't have time to go into it, but I am really, really committed to helping entrepreneurs gain the focus that you need. Right here is a 45-minute video that you can watch about the neuroscience of your morning routine. If you want to know the 5 things that you should do, the 5 things you should do that are backed by science that will make you more focused in the first 30 minutes of your day, rather than the rest of the day, this is it right here. I call it the $1 million morning. The reason why I call it that is, number one, this is the routine that I use to run a multi-million-dollar business out of my house. And it's also the routine that I use in order to feel like $1 million. So if you're interested in greater productivity, if you're interested in more control over your day, if you're interested in focus, there it is for you for free. We normally sell this for $200, but it's my gift to you because I want to see your business grow and I want to see you stop torturing yourself. And what we hear is that when people watch this thing, and we film it in the house, you're going to go right in the bedroom, the bathroom, no makeup, it's pretty raw. But rated G, don't worry. We hear all the time, I completed all these business objectives because I have the focus that's been eluding me. Look, in 5 seconds you can change anything. Yes, you got to think big when it comes to strategy, but you guys are geniuses. You know exactly what you need to do, particularly after being here. Now it's about doing it. So when it comes to doing it, I want you to think about micro-execution. I want you to think about 5-second decisions, because when it comes to business, at the heart of every business that's changed or had an innovation, there was somebody that had the courage to make a 5-second decision. Like this guy. In 1992, Greg Rogers, nobody's heard of him. I guarantee you he is responsible for you spending a lot of money. He was working in a coffee shop. He had this kind of wisdom kick in, just like you do, about your business and about how you should market yourself and how you should talk about it, how it's unique to you. He thought, you know, it's weird. Every time it's hot outside, we lose business. So he brought in a blender and he started tinkering around with a frozen drink and kept serving it to his buddies that were working there in the coffee shop with him. And then a VP comes by, and the VP was doing a tour of a bunch of coffee shops, and Greg said, hey, come here, I want to show you something. I want to show you something that I'm doing different than all the other coffee shops. Just like you're probably doing some interesting things that are a little bit different than everybody else. Well, the VP loved this thing so much that he went straight to the top and told Howard Schultz about it, the CEO of Starbucks. A year later, the first Frappuccino rolled out in that Santa Monica store. Within 2 weeks, guys, it was 40% of Starbucks global, of the revenue. Now it's almost 20% of Starbucks global revenue. Don't worry, Greg got a gold watch. The point of the story is that just like Kaylee and Barbie were talking about insights that they had, one being that, hey, what I'm doing isn't working, I need to change. And the other being, I need to be more of myself. Those insights are key to you growing your business. 5-second decisions will change your business. In fact, 5-second decisions are also what it changes history. Just ask Rosa Parks. December 1st, 1955, she boards the Cleveland Street bus in Montgomery, Alabama. Now, what a lot of people don't consider about this story is that this was her commute. She had ridden this bus 1,000 times. Do you know what she had with her when she got on the bus? She had a purse and a bag of groceries. Do you know what she was thinking about? She was thinking about getting home. She walks past the first, the second, the third row, sits down in the fifth row, the row that was designated for black passengers. The bus pulls away, you know the story. By the third stop, the bus was full, and Rosa was asked to move along with 3 other passengers, and she just quietly said no. Now, she was arrested, as you know. She was charged with violating the segregation laws. Now, here's what a lot of people don't know. She gave a radio interview 1 month after this photo was taken, January 1956, and you can hear it at the National Archives. And it's absolutely fascinating because the interviewer asked her a bunch of questions. He asked her, did you plan to do this? And she said, no. He said, did you ever think that you'd do something like this? And then she said something that I want you to pay attention to. She said, I never thought I would be the one to do such a thing. And see, that's a mistake. It's a mistake that you're making, that I make. You are the one. You are the one that's going to change your family. You are the one that's going to change your business. You are the one that's going to change everything. And it's going to come down to whether or not in the smallest of a moment, you have the clarity and the courage to hear yourself. And that you've got the ability to push yourself, even though you're afraid. I mean, what happened with this 1 5-second decision? There was a bus boycott because people were upset because she was a nice lady and people were upset that this happened, and the bus boycott lasted 361 days. It bankrupted the bus company. It led to the United States Supreme Court overturning the laws that segregated the bus that she had been riding on. And here she is, just 1 year of the date she had been arrested, sitting in the seat that she had been arrested in after the laws had been overturned. You are the one that could change absolutely everything. And that's particularly true in the things that matter most to you. And you see, I think that this is where we get the most resigned. I think we don't have the power to change our families. We don't have the power to change things that are really, truly important. Just ask Brittany and Todd. So today is Brittany's wedding day. And the thing you can't tell from this photo is that it's been a bad decade for this family. You see, Todd and Brittany's mom got a divorce, and what do you do in a divorce? Oh, you fight. And then you use the kids as pawns, and you get restraining orders, and you get really nasty, right? You take it out on each other, and then what do? Oh, you both remarry, and then it becomes like a team sport where you're like against each other, right? Well, Todd is walking his new wife up the aisle, and his wisdom kicks in. Just like yours is going to. And he says, you know, today I got to do something to heal this family. He doesn't stop and think. He turns and in 5 seconds flat, starts moving. He sets his wife down and walks back and grabs this man. The man he hates, that's Brittany's stepdad. I mean, just look at the lady next to them, for crying out loud. And invites him to walk their daughter down the aisle. One decision changes absolutely everything. In fact, you're just one decision from a totally different life. Whether that decision is to push yourself out of your head and start that nonprofit you've been thinking about for 2 decades, or push yourself out of bed just because you said you would, even though you don't feel like it, or push yourself to reach your goals or present next year, or maybe you'll do something more profound, like James did. So I met James at a conference in September, and he walks up to me after the speech, and he's got those tears, you know, the kind that hang on your eyeballs. And he puts his hands on his belly, and he goes, "Well, Mel, you really got me. I never thought I would cry at a supply chain engineering conference." And he goes on to explain that when I told that story in the beginning about Steve, the veteran overseas, he said, "I had to use your stupid rule to stay in the room." And he explained that his baby brother was a veteran. He also suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder, and he killed himself last year. And James said, "You know, I kept thinking I wish Patrick had taken 5. And then I realized, holy cow, when we got to the part about autopilot, you were actually talking to me." He said, "I realized I've been so afraid to be out there running," and he pats his belly and he says, "You can't tell, but I used to run marathons." He said, "I've been so afraid to be out there alone with my thoughts." He said, "But I've been thinking, I'm going to use your stupid rule, and I'm going to commit to running marathons again, only this time it'll be to raise money to help prevent suicide in other veterans. Or maybe you'll use this dumb thing for something really annoying. Because the fact is, you're never too old, and you're never not good enough to discover all the opportunity and joy that your life has to offer. And now you know the simple secret of 5-second decisions and how to discover the power in you."